Air Canada is canceling dozens of flights today ahead of a potential work stoppage by the union representing its flight attendants this weekend. We'll tell you how to navigate this labor dispute.
And the city of Mississauga is taking legal action to address ongoing safety concerns at a local plaza. We'll tell you more about the request for an injunction coming up.
And work from home days for some Ontario employees will soon be over. The province is ordering public servants to come back into the office full time. We're going to hear from the union who's taking issue with this move.
This is Live at 5. For joining us, I'm Lindsay Biscaya.
And I'm Lena Latafat. Welcome to Live at 5, and thanks so much for joining us. Air Canada and the union representing its flight attendants took turns blaming each other today, with time to reach an agreement running out. All planes could be grounded by Saturday, and that could impact thousands of passengers.
CP24 CJ Liu joins us live from Pearson Airport with the latest. CJ, you've been speaking with people, some of them kind of scrambling at this point.
Yeah, thousands of passengers have already had their flights canceled, and many are wondering how they're going to get back home now. Even if their flight does take off, the first wave of cancellations have already begun. Air Canada will be canceling 500 more flights tomorrow, and then a full cancellation on Saturday if a deal is not reached. We've been chatting with passengers who are taking off today, including Kathy here, who's heading to Scotland. So you're lucky your flight has not been canceled today, but you're worried about your way back home.
Yes, of course. Everyone's worried about. I'm glad we're going to be able to get to our destination. I'm not going to worry too much. I feel like if they're going to cancel it, then they have to find a way for us to get back home. So if I get to stay I'm at a good destination. If I get to stay a day or two, and they're footing the bill and getting an extra plane somewhere else or some other plane back, I'm good. But I feel really bad for the other people that are making plans because you take time off of work and. But then again, that's not the attendant's fault. You know what I mean? They have a right to have what they deserve if they're not being treated properly. So I don't know what, that's the problem with everything, right? It's nice, though, that I'm happy enough I can get to my flight today. So thank you very much, and I'm sorry.
It's okay. Well, thank you so much, Kathy. Good luck on your flight to Scotland, and hopefully you can have a safe flight back. But that's how a lot of passengers are feeling. We've been hearing a lot of different stories of flight cancellations, some people heading to weddings, they're going to school in a new city, all wondering if they do get to their destination, how will they get home? Air Canada says they will be offering anyone whose flights have been canceled refunds, or they'll be rebooking them at a later date. But right now we are in the peak summer travel season, so flights are limited when it comes to rebooking options on other airlines. And we'll show you even over there right now. We have an Air Canada flight attendant. Today they have set up these information booths. A lot of people have been going up and asking them, what is the situation with the strike? And in terms of the strike right now, Air Canada says their latest offer would make their flight attendants the best paid in the country. But the union says that is not the full picture. So we are at an impasse right now, and if a deal cannot be reached by Saturday, it will be a full stoppage of Canada's largest airlines. Here's more from both sides today during a news conference today. Take a listen.
The negotiation started with CUPE demanding increases in compensation of more than 100%. Our latest offer included an increase of 38% in total compensation, including benefits and pensions over 4 years. And most importantly, it included an offer for ground pay, an offer that has been in our offers for months. We never left the table. We are engaged throughout the entire process. We have made offers and responded to every offer CUPE has made, including the last one.
We believe our flight attendants deserve a wage they can live with and to change this industry into a career. We believe our flight attendants deserve to be paid while they're on the job, doing vital safety work for Air Canada. It is deeply disappointing to see that Air Canada does not agree. Their best offer to date at 8% would still put the junior flight attendants at $2,108 per month. This is still over $700 per month below minimum wage.
A big question now is Ottawa going to step in and intervene? Well, Air Canada has asked Ottawa to send them to binding arbitration. And Jobs Minister Patty Hajdu says that federal mediators are available, but the best deal will be reached at the bargaining table. She did say in her latest update to so that is the next deadline we're waiting to hear of any updates when it comes to these negotiations. But travelers today are certainly very nervous. Around 500 flights will be canceled by tomorrow. An entire stoppage expected on Saturday if a deal cannot be reached. And you're looking at 130,000 passengers impacted every day. And Lindsay Biscaya, that also includes tens of thousands of Canadians who will be stranded abroad. I'll send it back to you for now.
Okay, that's CP24's Sija Liu reporting live from Pearson Airport. Thanks, Sija.
Thanks, Sija.
And joining us live now with more insight on this labor dispute is John Graddick, Faculty Lecturer of Aviation Management and Supply Chain Management at McGill University. John, good to have you. Thanks for taking the time tonight.
My pleasure, Lindsay.
What do you make of what's going on? I mean, this seems to be escalating very quickly. There's a lot of arguments that Air Canada flight attendants in particular are underpaid compared to other airlines. What do you make of how fast this is moving?
Well, we got 36 hours to go before a shutdown, so the clock's ticking. I think that much as the minister would have liked to see an agreement prior to that midnight strike deadline, I don't think we're going to get there. I think that the union and Air Canada just are not talking to each other, they're talking through each other rather than at each other, and we're not getting any progress. So I think unless the minister decides to order a CIRB intervention and go for binding arbitration directly, which is going to be very difficult to do because of the fact that they've tried this before. They got challenged the last time around with WestJet's mechanics on a Supreme Court ruling about the right to strike. So I'm not sure the government is ready to do that, but who knows? It'll be a pretty acrimonious 36 hours of everybody accusing each other of bad faith.
John, there's two really important storylines playing out here. One is a story you just talked about, these two sides trying to come to a deal. They're not even talking right now. That's not encouraging. But the other storyline here is all of the people who are flying out. I mean, it's peak travel season. They're trying to look for some certainty. How would you suggest a passenger navigate all of this chaos?
Yeah, it is chaos. If everybody tries to do a recovery or a rebooking on their own, it is going to be absolute chaos, and it's going to cost traveling public thousands of dollars to do. So, because the other carriers know what Air Canada is going to have to do. The fares have gone up through the roof. Toronto, Vancouver, you're paying upwards of $2,000 to get a one-way economy seat.
Wow.
So it's gone off the clock, and so. Yeah, there's a lot of messing around going on. People are checking for flights. My advice is just sit tight. The flight's going to get canceled by Air Canada. They are obligated to come to you with an alternative travel plan. You have a choice of taking it if it meets your travel constraints. And if you don't take it, they will either offer you travel credits for future travel, or they will offer you a refund. And so you won't be out of pocket. So I would say best advice, don't try to call Air Canada. If you have a travel agent that you're working with, let them do all the work. But, as far as calling Air Canada and hoping to have a conversation with Air Canada prior to the cancellation, don't even try it. Not worth it.
We're seeing Air Canada cancel flights before this possible strike on Saturday, right? Flights being canceled today as well. How common is that for airlines to do that just because a strike might be coming but isn't actually happening yet?
Well, the key objective of this preemptive cancellation, as we call it, is really to make sure that the assets that are being flown out today have a way of getting back to Canada by tomorrow night. So if you're flying from Vancouver to Sydney, Australia tonight, the airplane won't get back until Saturday. So rather than have the airplane stranded in Australia or stranded in Manila or stranded in Athens or wherever it might be, Air Canada is basically canceling the outbound flight tonight and there'll be more cancellations tomorrow. So that all the assets are in Canada. Crews are back in Canada at the moment that strike is called at midnight on Saturday morning.
Okay, John Gradick, faculty lecturer of aviation management and supply chain management at McGill University. It's been good to get your perspective on this, and I'm sure we will be chatting soon. So thanks so much, John.
Thank you.
Thank you. Take care.
It is 5:10 now. We're going to get a check on the commute with our traffic specialist, Adjoa, who's been watching. What a drive it's been today, Adjoa.
Yeah, it has not been a fun drive for a lot of people I know. So if you're making your way out, not easy this time of day either. We are dealing with a couple of problems, so I'll get right to them so you can avoid them. So this is the 401 westbound in the collectors through Bayview. I'll find the right lane at shoulder block because of this stall. It is really starting to get busy on that westbound 401 as a result. And now if your travels do take you towards the Gardner on the eastbound lanes of the Gardner. This is just through Park Lawn, long-standing stall. This has been there for over an hour now. Find that right lane occupied, also impacting the drive on the eastbound lanes of the Gardner, which is slow from as far back as the 427. And taking a peek at your drive on the QEW, also very busy as you head into Mississauga, Oakville. And even into Burlington, it gets busier again. You get a break into Oakville at least. On city streets, it looks like we have a brand new collision, this one blocking lanes on Dufferin and Steeles. I'll send it back to you.
This CP24 traffic report is brought to you by 407 ETR. Enjoy the journey with a stress-free commute.
It is 5:11 right now, 27 degrees outside. This is Live at 5.
Toronto police announcing more arrests in a shocking gunfight on Queen West. That update just ahead.
The city of Mississauga has been granted an injunction to temporarily prevent large gatherings at a plaza after numerous complaints from the neighboring community.
And CP24's Steve Ryan joins us live from Ridgeway Plaza with more. Steve, full disclosure, I'm not far from there, just a couple minutes away. The food is amazing, but the crowds, they're out of control.
Lena, you're very lucky because there is no shortage of different varieties of food, that's for sure, at this one location. I don't think I've seen as many food places all gathered in the same spot. So it's a very big commercial property, and it's also very busy. And we heard from the city of Mississauga today and from Peel Regional Police that over the last couple of years, this has been the location where hundreds upon hundreds of people gather at night going into the early morning hours. They've got all kinds of vehicles out here. They're driving recklessly in the parking lot. There's fireworks going off. There's drinking going on. And there is also other criminal activities going on. It's been a very big concern for local residents and for the city of Mississauga and for Peel Regional Police, not only because of the complaints from the local residents, but also from a public safety perspective. Police and the city of Mississauga were concerned that gaining access to this particular location, if in fact there was an emergency, is very difficult to do when you've got hundreds of vehicles basically clogging up all of the arteries going in and out of this location. So today, the city of Mississauga applied to the courts for an injunction. That injunction was granted, and now that allows for the police, when they arrive at this location from here on in for the next little while, to declare a gathering to be dangerous and a public nuisance, and they can disperse all the people, and those people can be fined and or arrested if they refuse to leave. And it puts an onus on the property owners here as well. They have to take proactive steps to help the city of Mississauga with reducing the amount of gatherings that are taking place at this location. Now, just a while ago, I spoke with one of the local residents. He popped by to say hello, and he also expressed his gratitude for this injunction that was being passed as a result of this large property in his neighborhood. And here's some of the conversation I had with him. Let's listen.
It's just been chaotic and hectic for the past 4 years here. From about 7 p.m. till 4 in the morning, people drag racing, doing donuts and burnouts, you name it. And the congested traffic is too much. So I'm glad that the residents finally spoke up and they're going to put an end to this chaoticness. No problem coming out here, but it's just about the amount of people and the right time, the right place.
Peel Police are confident that this injunction will give them that extra tool in their toolkit, if you will, that will help them eradicate these gatherings. And we are expecting, according to the police, that these gatherings will no longer be in existence as a result of this court injunction, that it goes into effect today. I'll send it back to you guys.
Okay, that is CP24's crime analyst Steve Ryan reporting for us. Steve, thanks so much for that. Well, police have made more arrests in a gunfight on Queen Street West last year. They've also identified more suspects who are wanted.
Yeah, the shootout happened at a recording studio on Queen near Sudbury Street last November. Police say 4 additional people were arrested last month, 88 charges laid. In total, 36 people have now been arrested as part of Project Poppy, with 3 suspects still outstanding.
Those suspects have been identified as 28-year-old Mohammed Kira Brampton, 25-year-old Olad of Toronto, and 19-year-old Johnnery Walker of Brampton. All 3 are wanted on numerous charges, including weapons offenses.
It's now 5:17, 27 degrees. This is Live at 5 on Toronto's Breaking News, CP24.
Stay with us. We've got more news coming up right after this break.
Welcome back. The province's 60,000 public service workers are being ordered to return to the office full time.
All workers will be required to be in the office 5 days a week starting in January. So right now, workers only have to come into the office 3 days a week. The shift follows a growing trend to return to the office, with the country's largest banks also mandating staff spend more time at work in person starting this fall. And speaking today in Pickering, the Premier acknowledged the important role public servants play.
Ontario's public service is the best in the entire country. They've been effective and professional, helping Ontario face down major challenges, including the challenge we now face from south of the border. Our province is in a fight for our lives, and I could not deliver on our plan to protect Ontario's economy, our workers, and our future without our public service.
The union representing Ontario public service employees is speaking out against the new rules, saying the government is trying to drag workers back into the Stone Age. A statement on the website reads in part, the Secretary of Cabinet wants unilateral control over where and when you work. A MAPCO successfully fought back and preserved your ability to request an alternative work agreement, ensure it's considered fairly, and dispute any denials. I'm incensed by this morning's announcement that the OPS will be returning to 5 days in the office in the new year. The Secretary of Cabinet is now using policy to force through what couldn't be wrested from us during free and fair collective bargaining. We should note last year, federal civil servants were told to come back to the office for a minimum of 3 days a week. For a lot of people, though, this really hurts.
The province is reporting just 3 new measles cases, meanwhile, over the past week. Public Health Ontario says all of the new infections were in the southwest region. The province's total case count since the start of the outbreak in October now stands at more than 2,300. Just 8 cases were reported last week, which was the first single-digit increase since January. Officials say the downward trend suggests transmission may be slowing, but they warn continued vigilance is still needed.
Well, a new survey suggests about 1/3 of renters in the country are using more than half of their income to cover their leases.
Rentals.ca polled more than 500 renters across Canada. It found 34% report spending more than 50% of their income on rent. Only 22% were spending 30% or less, which is considered the affordability benchmark. The national average asking rent in July tumbled 3.6% from a year earlier, but was still above $2,100 a month.
Well, Pierre Poilievre is trading his fight against the carbon tax this fall for a new battle against what he's calling the carny tax.
The Conservative leader says his party will launch a national campaign to call for an end to the Liberals' electric vehicle mandate. The policy requires 20% of all light-duty vehicles sold in Canada next year be zero-emission vehicles. By 2035, the rule will apply to all vehicles. Manufacturers that do not meet the target can be hit with a $20,000 penalty, which Poilievre is calling a tax. Poilievre says the mandates are based on ideology and that the Tories plan to push to get rid of them.
Communities across Western Canada, rural Ontario, y compris au Quebec, and in the rural Atlantic would be gone. And forget about the northern territories of our country, where this pipe dream would be impossible. There's not even the electrical infrastructure. It would cost $300 billion to put in place the electrical charging stations and transmission networks to actually do that, which would be thousands of dollars of costs in higher taxes and prices for consumers for every single family.
And the vehicle manufacturing industry says with U.S. tariffs and the end of government sales incentive programs, it'll be impossible to hit the 20% benchmark by next year.
5:23 right now, 27 degrees. This is Live at 5.
A new shopping destination officially opens its doors right here in Toronto. More on what customers can expect from Canadian retailer Simons. Welcome back. At a time when other department stores are closing, Simons is celebrating a major milestone today.
The Canadian department store opened its first Toronto location in Yorkdale Shopping Centre. The 185-year-old chain now has 18 stores across the country as it appears to be taking the slow and steady approach to expanding outside Quebec. A second Toronto location is expected to open at the Eaton Centre this fall or winter.
I'm on a high right now. This is really a milestone for us. It's a new chapter in our history. This is a major investment for Simons here in the Toronto market, our first in Toronto proper, and the first of a $100 million investment in Toronto with the two stores, the next one coming at Toronto Eaton Centre. So I'm just ecstatic to see it come together, to see so many people. This is what we exist for our clients. I'm just really happy to see the turnout this morning.
And the only other location in the GTA is in Square One in Mississauga.
It's a great store. Well, a new mural in the heart of the gay village is sending a message of inclusion.
Yeah, the project is hanging outside Wellesley Station. It was created by a local artist with the support of the church and Wellesley community and Councillor Chris Moyes. Sponsored by Steps Public Art, the mural aims to create a space for connection, creativity, and local storytelling.
It is 5:27, 27 degrees. This is Live at 5.
Air Canada is moving ahead with flight cancellations ahead of a total work stoppage starting on Saturday. We're going to have the very latest on this ongoing labor dispute coming up.
This is a live look at Pearson Airport and some of the signage this hour, where some passengers are now scrambling amid Air Canada canceling dozens of its flights today. This ahead of a possible strike by the union representing Air Canada flight attendants this weekend. Some passengers there getting some information.
The city of Mississauga, meantime, is taking legal action to address ongoing safety concerns at a busy food plaza. We'll tell you more about the request for an injunction coming up.
And work from home days for some Ontario employees will soon be over. The province is ordering public servants to come back into the office full time.
You're watching Live at 5. Good evening, and thanks so much for joining us. I'm Lena Ladefat.
And I'm Lindsay Biscaya. Welcome to Live at 5. Air Canada and the union representing its flight attendants took turns blaming each other today, with time to reach an agreement running out. All planes could be grounded by Saturday, impacting thousands of passengers.
And CP24 Sija Liu joins us live from Pearson with the very latest. What are you hearing from travelers, Sija?
Lena, Lindsay, travelers are anxious at this time. We're waiting for a possible full stoppage of all flights at Air Canada. And even looking at this flights board behind me, you see lots of delays and cancellations as well. You see one flight there to Delhi, India that has already been canceled. But Air Canada says their first wave of cancellations is already underway. 500 flights will be canceled tomorrow as well. And then a full stoppage on Saturday if a deal with the union is not reached. They're saying around 130,000 passengers could be impacted on a single day. That also means 25,000 Canadians who could be stranded abroad if there is a full stoppage. And we have been speaking to people at the airport, and some say they're excited to go on their vacation, but right now they're not sure how they're going to come home. And Air Canada, they are offering refunds or a new ticket at a later date at no additional cost, but the options for rebooking is very limited at this time. They're trying to rebook people on on other airlines, but this is a busy travel season, so a lot of those flights already sold out. And in terms of the negotiations, it has been at an impasse. Earlier today, an Air Canada news conference was disrupted by union members. Flight attendants came in holding signs that said unpaid work won't fly. The union did issue that strike notice yesterday, which is why we're waiting for this possible stoppage. And Air Canada says their latest offer includes a 38% wage increase that would make the flight attendants the best compensated in the country. But the union says that is not the full truth. Take a listen to what both sides have to say today.
We are still available to bargain at any time on the condition that the negotiation has substance. CUPE, for its part, while claiming at every turn they want to reach a deal, wasted 10 precious days, the last 21 days, by refusing to negotiate while they sought a strike mandate. They made the very last days of negotiations meaningless by making unsustainable offers. They refused our offer of arbitration to solve the impasse they had created.
Our proposals have been evidence-based, factual, and more than fair. Sadly, Air Canada has been absent from the bargaining table since Tuesday evening as the clock ticks down towards their lockout deadline of 1:30 a.m. Saturday. We, however, have never left the bargaining table. We have and will remain ready to hear the company's response to our latest offer. But instead of staying at the table, the company has called on the federal government to intervene on their behalf.
And just behind me here is an information desk that has been set up by Air Canada flight attendants. Lots of people coming into the airport today asking questions such as, will I get a refund? How will I know if my flight will be canceled within the next 48 hours? They have these brochures here that will answer all your questions. And right now, the advice Air Canada is giving travelers is to just constantly check your email, your text message for any updates if a flight is canceled, and don't come to the airport unless you have confirmed that your flight is taking off. But we're seeing some travelers making it just in time for their flight. But the big question is right now, how will they get home, and will there be a full stoppage come Saturday? And one thing to point out as well, Jobs Minister Patty Hajdu says that Air Canada has asked the federal government to go into binding arbitration, and CUPE has until Friday at noon to respond to that request. So we'll be keeping a close eye on that update, but as of right now, it's looking like a possible full cancellation on Saturday, and people still scrambling to try to figure out their travel plans.
All right. Imagine beginning your vacation that way, thinking of a potential strike. That's got to be so stressful. Sija Liu reporting live from the airport. Thanks for your coverage, Sija. We appreciate this. It's 5:35 now, 27 degrees. Let's get the check on the drive home now with our traffic specialist, Adjoa and Siayabwa.
Yeah, you know, we still have quite a few problems, Lena, and if you're headed out this hour on the major routes, I'm watching problems that have been with us for the last little bit. So this is on the eastbound lanes of the Gardner. Just as you make your way through Park Lawn, it is still that right lane that is blocked out following the stall. Again, it is really, really busy from the 427 all the way out towards the scene. As this problem persists, that is the reason why that delay continues to increase. Now, if you're traveling and headed towards the eastbound lanes of the 401, problems are just going to come into camera view, hopefully. Eastbound lanes of the 401, maybe not. Eastbound lanes of the 401. This is like near White's Road. We are dealing with a pretty serious collision. Vehicle ended up in the ditch. Camera's been moved. So if you're traveling through the area, this is what I can show you. I can show you that big backlog, which extends as you make your way on the approach. But some good news, 401 westbound improving in the collectors anyways. We had some problems westbound 401 collectors through Bayview. It was a stalled vehicle, had the right lane blocked. That problem just cleared. I'll send it back to you.
Okay, thanks, Adjoa.
You're welcome.
Well, police have laid charges in the deaths and dismemberment of two at an encampment in Barrie.
Yeah, 52-year-old Robert Ladoucer is facing multiple charges, including first-degree murder, second-degree, and 2 counts of indignity to a dead body. The charges follow an extensive search of the encampment on Victoria Street in Barrie following the report of a missing person. The victims have been identified as 45-year-old William Blake Robinson and 41-year-old David Cheese Gray.
A man has been arrested in a brazen double shooting in King West Village last week.
It happened last Friday morning near King and Sudbury. Police say a group of friends walking in the area when they were involved in a confrontation with a person on a motorcycle. Police say the victims were walking away when the accused waited for them at the end of a laneway, pulling out a gun and then began firing. A man and a woman were shot and left with life-altering injuries. 32-year-old Neem Alexander was arrested on Tuesday. He's facing 9 charges, including 4 counts of attempted murder.
Well, it appears the Supreme Court will not hear the sentencing appeal of Eaton Center shooter Christopher Husbands.
Husbands opened fire in the food court in the mall in 2012, killing 2 people and wounding several others. In 2019, he was found guilty of several charges, including 2 counts of manslaughter and 5 counts of aggravated assault. He was sentenced to life with no parole for at least 7 years. He appealed the sentence, arguing that it was unfit and that the trial judge failed to properly apply the legal framework when considering social context. Last year, the Ontario Court of Appeal found no reason to interfere in Husbands' sentence. Today, the Supreme Court agreed.
And a judge is expected to decide tomorrow whether or not to grant bail to a man charged in a GTA crash which killed a father of 3 earlier this month.
18-year-old Jaywin Kirubanthanan is facing multiple charges in the August 3rd crash on Highway 48 near Aurora Road. It claimed the life of 38-year-old Andrew Cristillo. Kirubanthanan was already facing charges in another serious collision involving the Premier, Doug Ford, on the 401 in January. You may remember this story. He had been given permission to drive after that crash, pending a court date later this year. And speaking with reporters in Pickering today, Doug Ford says he is enraged at what's happened.
It's in front of the courts. I wish I could say what's on my mind right now, but I think people know how I feel and everyone else in Ontario feels about this person. Just reckless, careless. And I better stop because I don't want any problems when he goes to court. So just frustrating, it's heart aching, and our condolences and our prayers go out to the family.
The judge is expected to hand down her decision in the bail hearing tomorrow in an Oshawa court.
All right, to the city of Mississauga now, where that city has been granted an injunction. This is to temporarily prevent large gatherings at a busy plaza after a number of complaints from the neighboring community.
CP24's Steve Ryan joins us live from Ridgeway Plaza with more. And Steve, you've been speaking with people in the area, talking about what's happening here. What are they saying?
Well, it's welcome news, Lindsay, that's for sure, when it comes to the announcement today that a court has authorized an injunction on behalf of Peel Region so that the city of Mississauga and Peel Regional Police can now enforce the large gatherings that are up here in this very large commercial property in Mississauga near Winston Churchill and Eglinton. So I did speak with residents today, and I'm now going to speak with a woman who works at this location, Judy, and her friend Noah, who's here for moral support. You and I talked about the crowds that are up here, the cars. Tell our viewers about the congestion up here.
Honestly, the crazy part about the crowds is that they're every time. They're basically every day. Weekdays, weekends, doesn't matter the time. At night, you cannot find parking. And me having to work here, I can't really go on breaks and like wander around the plaza if I wanted to eat something or drink something, because I'm worried that I won't come back. That I will come back and won't find parking. That's always my worry. And another thing is that it's just so crowded all the time. Like no matter what, like even when I come here for to hang out just like other people, I can never find parking. It's always a headache. I always want to either Uber or rely on a friend for them to drive so I don't have to worry about parking.
And you talked about, you used the word catcalls, and you can explain what that means, not specifics, of course. But that was a concern for you as well, working here at night with this very crowded parking lot with cars. Tell me about some of that stuff.
Yeah, so it was, besides the staring, like a lot of the girls that I can talk to and can confirm and testify that no matter where you go, men will stare. If it's all the time, it's just staring all the time.
Were you ever concerned, I'm going to cut you off there, were you ever concerned about your safety up here with all these large crowds?
No. I mean, if it's for safety, then there's no crazy concern. But as for the, uncomfortableness as a woman, there is some concern for that part. on that side. But as for my safety, I feel like, especially at nighttime, I'd rather walk with a person than alone.
When you heard the news today that the court has authorized an injunction so that the city of Mississauga and the police can come in here now and disperse these crowds, does that make you feel better?
Honestly, a little bit, yes, it does. As for the fact that there's going to be way more parking spots and also less crowds and less, craziness.
Okay, well, thank you for doing this, ladies, and appreciate your time.
Of course, thank you so much.
Okay. So these large crowds have been gathering, guys, for over 2 years. And it's not only been a concern for community members and local businesses, but it's also been a safety concern when it comes to emergency vehicles being able to gain access into this location if, in fact, they were called here. So with this injunction, the police can now declare these gatherings as being a public nuisance, and they can then announce that it is a public nuisance and everybody gathered in this location will have to leave the area, and if they don't, they can get arrested and or fined. And what it also does, the injunction puts a responsibility on the property owners here. They have to now take proactive steps to help the police of the city of Mississauga with minimizing the gatherings here, and if they don't do that, they don't take these proactive steps, they can face heavy fines themselves. So back to you guys.
Yeah, we certainly don't want to paint everybody in that plaza with the same brush. There's a lot of good going on there. There's a lot of good food, a lot of good culture. But as you pointed out, Steve, crowd control and safety, that's certainly a big concern. So police have to do their job in respect to that. Thanks so much for this. It's 5:43, 27 degrees out there. You're watching Live at 5.
And stay with us. We've got more coming up right after this break. The province's 60,000 public service workers are being ordered to return to the office full time.
Yeah, all workers will be required to be in the office 5 days a week starting in January. Right now, workers only have to come into the office 3 days a week. The shift follows a growing trend to return to the office, with the country's largest banks also mandating staff spend more time at work in person beginning this fall. And for more on this tonight, we're joined live by Dave Ballmer, president of AMAPCO, Ontario's professional employees, the union which represents workers for the province. Thanks so much for joining us, Dave. We certainly appreciate your perspective. What is your perspective here?
Well, we don't think this is a wise decision for a number of reasons. We believe that hybrid work, 3 days in, 2 days out, is a win-win-win. Win for employees from a work-life balance perspective, win for an employer in that they need less real estate space, and win for taxpayers in that if they do return our workers 5 days a week, they're going to now have to buy buildings and extend leases in order to just accommodate them.
Now, the Premier said today that he was asked whether he believes people are more productive in the office or at home, and he said for sure in the office. What do you think when it comes to productivity? What have you heard from the people you represent in terms of how productive they feel at home?
Yeah, my member's been doing this actually for 15 years, and more specifically the last 5, and again the last 3.5, and they're productive whether they're in the office or out. My members use their minds as their tools, and so they can work from anywhere, and they can do so quite well. Our experience in the last 3.5 years, the fact that it's lasted 3.5 years, I think demonstrates that it has been successful. And we have that nice combination of in-office and remote work. And this change is going to take away the remote work aspect completely.
What do you say, Dave, to the fact that there are so many employees in other sectors who are doing the very same thing, being asked to return to the office 5 days a week? Bankers' hours. I mean, that's one example. What do you say to that?
No, I appreciate they have, everybody has their business and their needs and so on. I guess the one difference between the province of Ontario and RBC, the Royal Bank, is that it's not going to cost Ontario taxpayers for RBC to take staff back in 5 days a week. Here in Ontario, we're going to have to, as I said, acquire new buildings and extend new leases and so on. All the cost savings from during the pandemic are now going to come out of taxpayers' pockets.
Do you think it's going to change employment at all? Like I've heard people say before, if they can't do hybrid or remote work, then they don't want that kind of job. They want something where they at least have the option to work at home some of the time. Do you think we're going to see people quitting or a change in employment here?
Yes, absolutely. I think that, there's a present day impact here, but the longer term is how are you going to recruit and retain the brightest professionals, in their 20s, people who have options. Often in the public service, you don't make as much income or compensation. Instead, you get the job security and sometimes some of the work-life balance. This has just put a chill on flex work. So if there's anybody out there contemplating joining the Ontario Public Service, I think today's pretty much wiped that out. Likewise, younger folks younger than me, earlier in their careers, I think they're going to walk. They're going to go elsewhere. They're going to show how they're upset.
Okay, Dave Bulmer, president of AMAPSIO, Ontario's professional employees, joining us live. Thanks so much for your insight. Appreciate it.
Thanks so much, Dave.
Thank you.
Thanks for the conversation. 5:49, 27 degrees. This is Live at 5.
Still ahead, puppies abandoned on the side of the road in Barrie, now trying to find homes. More on the challenges being faced by animal organizations here in the GTA and beyond, coming up.
Welcome back. The Ontario SPCA is trying to find homes for several puppies. This after they were found abandoned on the side of the road in Barrie.
These are some of the 9 puppies that were found last week. The puppies are believed to be about 8 weeks old and are American Bulldog mixes. Now, they've been split up since and are at shelters in Orangeville, Whitchurch, Stouffville, and Whitby. The SPCA says 6 have already been posted and the remaining pups will be up for adoption soon. For more on what organizations are seeing when it comes to cases of animals being abandoned or surrendered, we are joined live by Melissa Schupak this hour, Director of Animal Sheltering at the Toronto Humane Society. Melissa, good to have you. Thanks for taking the time.
Yeah, thank you. Thanks for having me.
What are you seeing right now in terms of cases like these, a litter of puppies abandoned at the side of the road? Is this something you're seeing more of?
I think many organizations are seeing a rise of surrenders or pets being abandoned, which is just showing us the sort of like strain and desperation of our members of our community and pet guardians that they're facing due to the cost of living and impacts that that's having for them to be able to provide care.
And how concerned are you that this is going to be an ongoing trend? And what advice do you have then for pet owners who are struggling?
Mm-hmm. I think we recognize that the way that, as an organization we've been operating isn't necessarily meeting the need of our community and that people are in this sort of desperate point. So we're sort of trying to look, instead of surrendering or relinquishing that ownership to an organization like Toronto Humane Society, we're focusing on preventative programming. So programs that our community members and pet guardians can access to keep that family together, so long as it's the most safe and reasonable option for everyone involved. And then really be there for those cases of surrender when it's absolutely necessary. So I think looking at getting engaged with organizations like Toronto Humane Society early on if you're struggling and see what is available for you that can be provided to maybe prevent you from ending up in a situation like that.
And important for people to remember too, right? Like if you can't afford your pet anymore, something happens and you bring it into the Humane Society, there isn't going to be any shame or judgment attached to that. Like you can just bring your pet in.
Absolutely. We, I think, want to make sure that we are a community resource, no judgment. We understand that times are tough. And the folks that are coming and reaching out for help, like we know that you care and that this is not an easy decision or position that you want to be in. So we want to be there to help support you through that challenging time.
Okay, Melissa Schupak, Director of Animal Sheltering at the Toronto Humane Society. Thanks so much for sending this message. I think it's an important one, so we appreciate this conversation. Thank you, Melissa.
Thanks.
Thanks for having us.
It's 5:55 right now, 27 degrees. This is Live at 5.
Well, a car from the former Scarborough RT, it has a new home tonight, not so far away. We'll explain next. Welcome back. The Blue Jays wrapped up their series against the Cubs this afternoon.
In the air to left center.
Vladimir Guerrero Jr. continued his hot play, giving the Jays the lead with this 2-run homer in the 7th. Toronto would hold on to win 2-1. They now sit 4.5 games ahead of the Red Sox for first place in the American League. Chris Bassett takes the mound tomorrow as the team opens a 3-game series against the Texas Rangers.
Well, a car from the now-defunct Scarborough RT has arrived at its new home, the Toronto Zoo.
Yeah, the zoo says the car will be used as a station for its Zoomobile, which shuttles people around to different exhibits. The TTC says of the Scarborough RT's 28 cars, 24 were sold to the city of Detroit for parts. Another 2 were donated to the Halton Museum, and 1 was scrapped after it was involved in the 2023 derailment, which ultimately led to Line 3 being decommissioned several months earlier than planned. So
Nice to
kinda cool.
And nice to see it staying in Scarborough as well. 5:59, 27 degrees. This is Toronto's breaking news. CP24 feeling more like 31 out there tonight.
Thank you for watching. CTV News at 6 is next.